Namaskar.
Congratulations to a phenomenal leadership that we are seeing from you, sir, over the last few weeks, and we feel that with you at the helm of affairs on this side, it makes us feel so much confident. The way you have been very sincerely, as one always, everybody talks about it, sir, that you have been handling, sir. We have from our side, from the CII, been involved in a few things like. Working on the with a coalition on ventilators, working on a coalition for masks, getting our companies to come together to work on the PPEs. So we are, besides many other social related issues that we have been focusing on, but we would like to hear from you what more and what else we can do from the industry and from the private sector, and also understand the way forward from you, sir. So just wanted to once again congratulate you and thank you for your leadership and for your being here today. I'd request Mr. Vikram Kirloskar, sir, the president of CII, to say a few words, and then I'll turn to you, sir, for your comments and your opening remarks, and then we will have a moderated question and answer. So may I request Vikram Kirloskar, the president of CII?
Good morning, Minister. It's
Namaste.
a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you.
With all us. Thank you, sir. With CI membership. Very nice privilege for us.
Thank you so
Sir,
much.
over the last several weeks, 4 weeks for me, we've been sitting and watching everything on the news, what's happening around the world, what's happening in India. And I think yesterday, now we are seeing more and more graphs and comparisons with India and the rest of the world. And I must say, when you look at those graphs and the reports that are coming, you must have to congratulate you, the Prime Minister, the entire government, I think public sector, private sector, society for working so closely together to ensure that the lockdown has happened.
Namaskar.
Congratulations to a phenomenal leadership that we are seeing from you, sir, over the last few weeks, and we feel that with you at the helm of affairs on this side, it makes us feel so much confident. The way you have been very sincerely, as one always, everybody talks about it, sir, that you have been handling, sir. We have from our side, from the CII, been involved in a few things like working on with a coalition on ventilators, working on a coalition for masks, getting our companies to come together to work on the PPEs. So we are, besides many other social related issues that we have been focusing on, but we would like to hear from you what more and what else we can do from the industry and from the private sector, and also understand the way forward from you, sir. So just wanted to once again congratulate you and thank you for your leadership and for your being here today. I'd request Mr. Vikram Kirloskar, sir, the president of CII, to say a few words, and then I'll turn to you, sir, for your comments and your opening remarks, and then we will have a moderated question and answer. So may I request Vikram Kirloskar, the president of CII?
Good morning, Minister. It's
Namaste.
a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you.
With all us. Thank you, sir. With CI membership. Very nice privilege for us.
Thank you so
Sir,
much.
over the last several weeks, 4 weeks for me, we've been sitting and watching everything on the news, what's happening around the world, what's happening in India. And I think yesterday, now we are seeing more and more graphs and comparisons with India and the rest of the world. And I must say, when you look at those graphs and the reports that are coming, we must have to congratulate you, the Prime Minister, the entire government, I think public sector, private sector, society for working so closely together to ensure that the lockdown has happened successfully. And it looks like we are on a better path than most of the other countries. It is also evident, sir, that from today from Prime Minister's speech and what he has said, that he is listening a lot to the medical community. It's quite evident. It gives them a lot of importance. The economy is, of course, a big issue. We are worried from CII regarding the economy. But we want to have the economy restarted in a very safe and healthy manner. And we want to work very cooperatively with the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Home and all the other concerned ministries to ensure that we get the economy rolling, but we also do it in an extremely safe manner while controlling this COVID virus. So we look forward to working with you. We look forward to your leadership and the leadership of the Health Ministry. Please be assured that from our side, we will do everything that is required to follow the regulation that has been set on the lockdown. We will do everything to support those in need. CII has a whole lot of activities going on across the country, whether it's free food, whether many things are going on, and we'll continue to do all that. So we look forward to hearing from you, Minister Ji. Thank you, sir.
Request the Honorable Minister, Dr. Harshavardhan, sir, to give your opening remarks, please.
Thank you, Mr. Vikram Kirloskar ji, and thank you, Mr. Chandrajit Banerjee Sahab, for giving me this privilege and honor to be with you during these difficult COVID times, and when we are all in a lockdown. But it was such a pleasant surprise for me to hear from you that you all wanted to meet me through this video conference. So extremely grateful, Mr. Banerjee and all our distinguished members of the Confederation of Indian Industries. I'm really grateful to all of you. You have, I know that you are all busy people with a lot of responsibilities. Even though in lockdown, I know that most of the people are working from homes. And I can appreciate very much your presence in this meeting. So once again, thanks. I express my gratitude to all of you on behalf of my Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji also. We know that you all have always stood with the government in all times and in all situations and for all purposes in every sector of the economy, of the government working for the society. Let me first of all thank you all for contributing liberally and graciously into the Prime Minister Cares Fund. That speaks volumes about the fact that you appreciate your responsibility in these times for your society and the nation. I know that I have a personal, for last so many years, at least 25 years, more than 25 years, an association with CII in different capacities in the government, and I have always found you people very supportive and very pragmatic and very visionary in your approaches. You have always stood by the Modi government, and I can also appreciate and I share your concern because we know that our industry has taken the biggest punch during these COVID times. But I can assure all of you that our government is all the time, apart from discussing how do we handle the COVID-19 pandemic and also to find out solutions to mitigate the COVID-19, you see, attack on humanity. We are also brainstorming on how we can ensure for the economy and for the industry, how we can really make up for this lost time. So this is one issue which we find that in all the discussions where the Prime Minister chairs and the Cabinet discusses along with senior officers, it's not only about the medical issues and how do we provide the best possible care to our patients, but it is also about you people, and because you are the backbone of the society, and it's because of the support of the industry that we have a robust economy. No doubt we are in a bit of setback times, but I know that since 2014 we had always been, and even now, even in comparison, we have always been the fastest growing economy in recent years. So India's growth story is absolutely and thoroughly dependent on you people. And on the healthcare front, I can only tell you that you yourself mentioned, Mr. Banerjee, right now, that how the industry has now risen to the occasion, and now whether it is for the ventilators or the masks or for the PPEs particularly, I would say that we hardly had any significant industrial contribution, but now we have over 3 dozen people in India who are going to provide PPEs to us in the coming weeks. And you see this, I have from close quarters observed during this period that this COVID thing has come as a sort of a blessing in disguise for the Make in India movement. And I think because I interact regularly with my CSIR people, with my biotechnology and DST people, and we have even had a lot of call for proposals for people coming forward for us to help them for the new startups, for the discovery of new technologies. So the whole lot of this Make India in India movement has, I think, grown quite a bit in the recent times, though troubled times, but it has come as a, I would say that there is always a silver lining to each dark cloud. And that's why we all have to keep our spirits very high. And this planet has, I think, it should have learned by now that nature is not to be taken for granted. As a former environment minister also, I sometimes feel that how a small microorganism, we call the new virus, a mutated virus, which nobody can see with naked eye. Even with a routine microscope, you may not be able to see that as well. But how a small virus can disturb the whole lot of humanity all across the globe. And I feel that this particular moment in world's history should teach people good things for the mankind, and we should all be able to emerge out of this dark episode in modern history. How we can really improve and in fact re-establish the the dynamics of the industry. That is a subject which I said again I would repeat that it has been a subject of very intense brainstorming amongst the top echelons of the government in the last couple of weeks. So I can assure you that you are already contributing, you are also not complaining. But we are all very much concerned about all of you. And we are actively your partners, and I have the faith and the confidence that together we should be able to, number one, come out of this crisis, and then of course to put back the rails of the economy in a normal, you can say, dynamics, and then take it forward and once again re-establish the supremacy of India, that we can fight out everything during the most troubled times. So this is what I feel about the industry. And so just to give you an assurance that we are all concerned simultaneously about the issues that you must be having in your minds. Just for the, because I know it's over 3 months now when we started our fight against COVID. So most of the things have been shared with you people from time to time through the newspapers, through TV channels, through social media. But even then, I would like to say that we feel proud in saying this, that probably India is the first country in the whole world to have responded to the news of a new coronavirus appearing on the scene. And just to apprise you, because many people may not be aware of so much of detail, I just wish to remind that China had, for the first time on 31st December, told the world that they have seen some cases of pneumonia which they thought were not of known etiology. And within 7 days, they themselves on 7th of January conveyed to the World Health Organization that they have discovered a new coronavirus which has affected their population in Wuhan city. In India and in my own ministry, we were the first one to respond, and a day later, on 8th of January, we organized our first technical group of experts meeting with the participation from WHO also. And within a couple of days, we were in a position to issue detailed advisories and guidelines to the whole country, to all the states. That we did on 17th of January. On the same day, we started and decided that we must talk to our embassy in China to keep us apprised about everyone who is coming from China, and more particularly from those places which were affected there. we started immediately our community surveillance activities. We started our screening of passengers from these particular countries on our airports. We started with the 7 airports in the beginning, and which we extended to all the 30 airports. And right from the day the first case, a medical 20-year-old medical student arrived in India at the Calcutta airport on 24th January. She was also, means not that we had any suspicion, but since she had come from China, she was already on the tracking and surveillance list. And as soon as she developed some symptoms in the next 2 days, we started testing, and on 30th of January we had our first positive report. And this second patient in India was a contact of this first patient who also had traveled with her in the same flight. He was also reported positive 2 days later. So this is just to give you an idea where and how we had started. And although the World Health Organization declared it as an international emergency only on 30th of January, we had started much ahead of that. And from time to time we kept on giving advisories to the health department in the country, regularly talking to them on video conferences at my level, at secretary level, even at the highest level. Prime Minister was talking to the chief ministers, the cabinet secretary was talking to the chief secretaries. This is a long process that we continued. The Prime Minister constituted a group of ministers under my chairmanship, which met almost 11 times in last 1.5 months. We deliberated on number of issues. Just to give you an idea of the scale of the surveillance that we did, I think even right now over 7 lakh people in the country are under our community surveillance activities, where we know each and every detail about their whereabouts and what they are doing and what is the new symptom that they develop. And on the airports, we must have screened around 15,000 flight passengers, or over 15 lakh passengers at our airports. When we had the first case in Nepal, immediately we started screening on all our borders with Nepal in the adjoining 5 Indian states. And we screened over 20 lakh people on those borders. And simultaneously, to make the precautions and safety issues strengthened, we organized 5,000 Gram Sabhas in the neighboring villages. And similarly, we did not take a minute to decide that we also have to screen our people coming through the sea route. So at all our 12 major seaports and 65 non-major seaports, we screened over 47,000 people. So, and in the last, fag end of the period when we stopped all international flights, on 21st, 22nd and 23rd of March, we had over 64,000 passengers. And those 64,000 passengers, who many of them Indians also, we had put them in quarantine. 56,000 in home quarantine. They also were kept under detailed supervision, and about 8,000 in institutional quarantine facilities. So it just gives you all these, during all this period we were in touch with the World Health Organization's regional and the global office in Geneva. I had a video conference with all the health ministers of the whole world, and also with the health ministers of the Southeast Asia region. You know that proactively we devised our strategies. The Prime Minister, leading from the front, he declared the Janta curfew, then the lockdown. And now we strongly feel that social distancing and the lockdown combined together, they are probably the most potent social vaccines that we can offer to the people. We have simultaneously started working in our science ministries. we are the ones who have isolated the virus like 4 more countries, and we are in the process of starting activities related to vaccine development. We are part of a WHO solidarity trial for discovering the vaccine. A lot of activities are going on in CSIR for genetic sequencing of this particular virus, so that we know the origin, from where it is, how it is traveling in India, and how it has traveled into India, and many other aspects of the discovery of new drugs and active pharmaceutical ingredients, strengthening of our industry for in-house production of many of these things like ventilators, PPEs, and the other masks, etc. So this, in a way, this has been a very, you can say, exhaustive last 3 months, but we feel satisfied that the country has given the best possible support to the leadership. By and large, the country has been cooperating and participating in the, you can say, in following the guidelines and the advisories given by the government from time to time. Till a couple of years back, the diagnosis of virus in the labs, and for India, most of these samples were sent to America for testing. And when we started this movement in the first week of March, we had one reputed lab in Pune, that's the NIV Pune. But now we have more than 200 labs which are actually participating in the diagnosis of the presence of COVID virus. Is over 150 of them in the government sector, and some over 60 being supported by the private sector. We have a very ambitious plan to further expand this lab testing capability. We have already tested over 2 lakh people. We know where the disease is. We know the presence of the enemy in the country. We know the places where it is, the virulence with which it is spreading. And we also know those 400 districts where the virus has not been able to show any of its presence. So there is a very well-defined strategy about how to combat the virus in those districts, which you must have heard on TV. We have started calling them the hot spots, and they are also well designated places. We know those districts. We know where we have more than 15 cases, where we have less than 15 cases, where we have less than 5 cases. So there is a different type of strategy for that. How to actually enforce the containment measures. So the whole government, right from the top to the grassroots worker in the country, the health sector. And of course, the good thing is that we are being supported by all other ministries, so it's a total approach that we have adopted under Prime Minister's leadership. There are you see, many things that I can tell you, because these 3 months there is a huge experience that we have gathered. Although the country has already a robust disease surveillance mechanism that's very intense. Our surveillance system is probably one of the best in the whole world, and that's why we were able to actually eradicate polio in recent times. We have already eradicated smallpox, and I am sure that we should be able to handle this COVID also in the best possible manner. Right now, if you look at the data, for every 1 million population in India, our people who have got this COVID is just about 4 point something, as compared to the other countries in the Europe and other places. It's the number is something in thousands. So we hope to in the next coming weeks, Prime Minister has also extended announced about the extension of the lockdown. We would love industry to also make significant appeals to the society to honor and respect the principles of lockdown, because that's the way we can derive the maximum benefit out of these lockdowns, because ultimately they have been hardships for the people. You all know that Prime Minister has taken cognizance of the fact that many poor people are likely to suffer. So in the initial stages itself, he got the announcement of 1.7 lakh crores economic package for the poorest of the people, poorest of the poor, and they have all been helped and supported. The society has also come forward in a big way in taking care of the poorest of the poor people. A lot of considerations about what could be relaxed for the income tax, for the GST or the refunds, etc. You all know all those things. And for my own health sector, he's announced a support of 15,000 crores, so that which we are in the which we have already helped the states. We are trying to help the states in a big way. We have made funds in the National Health Mission and the Disaster Management Authorities Fund also to the states. So things on the face of it appear to be well under, as far as the disease is concerned and the immediate complications of the presence of the disease are concerned. We are thoroughly in control, but I think the next challenge before all of us, which with your support, we have to take care of the economy and take care of all your good suggestions, and together we have to now, in the coming weeks and few months, we have to see that everything is put back in the right place with optimum efficiency levels, and we can bring back our country to the original level. That's our desired dream, and that's my good wishes for all of you. So with these few, you said just few, but it's very difficult to describe the situation in few words. So I just tried to be very, very brief about, but those of you who would love to have some more details about what's happening, etc., so you are most welcome to put some queries, and we can try and share our experience and information and knowledge about that with all of you. So once again, thank you, Mr. Banerjee and Mr. Kirloskar, for giving me this privilege and opportunity to be with all of you, my dear friends, during this crisis period also. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So, take the questions, please, and explain them. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for this comprehensive overview once again, and once again, many congratulations for handling the last few weeks so very well. Sir, today we have a large number of people present in this audience, and the people really comprises from the healthcare sector, from the pharma sector, from the biotech sector, from the medtech and the health insurance companies, and many manufacturing companies, sir. Many of them who have actually been involved in the manufacture of ventilators, full body suits, masks, sanitizers, and so on and so forth. So I'll turn to our members to ask or pose a question for you or to give a comment. But I'll also request our members to be very, very brief and really make it a very sharp comment or a point, because there are so many requests which have already come to me for asking questions, and the Honorable Minister would also have to be beyond a point of time. So I'll start with Dr. Trehan, sir, who amongst many other things also chairs CII's Healthcare Committee.
Good afternoon, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for this very, very candid and exhaustive description of what has been done and what do we expect. 2 points I wanted to make to you. One, you probably are already aware that remdesivir, which is being tested in the US and China right now and being manufactured by Gilead, one of the senior scientists I was speaking to yesterday, and they have now given some drugs to WHO to start trials in different countries. So we should be on the front line of with the WHO to start the study in India. And this information, I don't know if you probably have already, but I did share it with Balram Bhargav yesterday, that we should track it down, and if we can, because we have full capabilities of testing it, especially for our gene pool, and we could do a quick study because we have enough patients in the hospitals right now to be able to do the study. So if you can help in pushing the button on it so that we are one of the preferred countries to get it from WHO, it'll help us. The second thing is that there are certain very severe woes of the private healthcare providers because of the fact that we have stopped elective procedures. The hospitals are empty. Fortunately, there are not so many patients coming in for COVID, which is a great thing. We have helped to make COVID hospitals from the private sector also, so that the support is all ready. But it has become a big challenge to keep our payrolls going because of the fact that we have a large number of doctors and paramedical personnel who are still got to be kept on the rolls, maintained in the same level of alertness and supplies, because we are, God forbid, if the onslaught comes, we are in the front line. So we have made certain requests. One is the fact that we said, let the bills that of CGHS and ECHS be paid ASAP, because there is a large amount of money owed to us. Second, the PSUs also owe a lot of money to us. The third was that some of the action has already been taken about removing duties on the imports of whatever stuff we need. But fortunately, our industry has risen to the occasion. The PPEs don't need to be imported anymore. Ventilators hopefully will not be required anymore because they have geared up to manufacture in India. And the third thing is that GST is actually a big burden on healthcare providers because of the fact that we are on nil category. We have to pay GST on all what we buy, but we don't have any set-off because we don't charge the patients, which is the right thing. We have lobbied for it, that the patient should not be burdened. So if you can, even on this 3-month period as a trial, put it to 0 category, we would be able to reduce our outgo by at least 7%. So these are little helps, and we have also requested the Power Ministry to defer our bills on our electricity bills for 3 months, so that we can, it is not a concession, just a deferment. And of course, like everybody else's demands, if you can make funds available at a lower interest rate to tide over this period, because we are all going to lose a lot of money. We'll borrow, we will tide over it. We are not saying we are down and out. We will match it. But the basic thing is we need temporary help for these next 3 months, sir.
Sir, can I respond?
Yes, please, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Trehen. First of all, let me thank you also for helping us during the initial period, because we know that we had called all the private hospitals also at that time. And when the first lot of these patients from Italy got affected, the group of 14 Italians who got this COVID, so we had shifted them from Agra to Delhi, and then at that time we did not want to take any chances with them, so we had requested Medanta to admit all those patients, and they were all admitted in Medanta. All of them, in fact, except for one old lady who succumbed recently 3 days back, but all 13 out of those 14 patients, they recovered well and they have gone back home. So I have to thank you for the support that you provided to us during that period. You have mentioned a couple of things regarding the research in the latest issues. I can only tell you that we are, our scientific community and our science department and ICMR, we are in touch with every possible latest thing happening all across the world, because this is not the forum to be getting into the nitty-gritty and details of each and everything. But I can say that we are not lagging behind anyone in the world on that account. you have mentioned about the pending CGHS bills and PSUs money and all. So I will certainly look into this aspect, and then about deferring the electricity bills for 3-month period, then reducing interest, etc., etc., GST to be relaxed. So what I would suggest that from the healthcare industry, whatever specifics, because some of these issues, they concern the finance ministry, so I will have to take it up with them also. So I would like that if you could send me pen down all these things where there is something to do with the power ministry or with the whatever is to be done with the health ministry, that I will take up myself. I know that there is a very you see less inflow of patients in the hospitals, but many of these doctors have also you can see closed their clinics, etc., which is also causing a bit of a hardship to the patient. But to facilitate things in even such times, during this crisis itself, we have now legalized the telemedicine guidelines and all. They have been notified, digital prescriptions, and then allowing the pharmacies to deliver medicines at home. A lot of things have been done. Not to get into those details, over about 600 exclusively dedicated COVID hospitals have been put up in the whole country, with over 2 lakh beds and 50,000 ICU beds, and there the support of we look forward to further support from the private sector also. I can only assure you that whatever is possible, feasible, out of the suggestions that you have given, and which I hope you will give it to me in writing also, I'll take it up personally and see what are the best things that can be done to ensure that our healthcare industry doesn't suffer too much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. I'll move to the other questions. I'll just name a few in that order so that they are ready. Dr. Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Hari Bhartia, Uday Kotak. Kiran first, please. Yeah, Kiran.
Namaskar, sir. Thank
Namaste.
you for a very enlightening and comprehensive commentary that you gave us. And for me personally, I think having a doctor at the helm of affairs is extremely reassuring, because I know how deep your understanding of all the problems are. Now, I want to very quickly just focus on one particular issue, sir. As you know, testing is becoming a very important aspect of this particular handling. And as you know, we have all been working towards indigenously producing these test kits. That we want access to the convalescent patient sera, we want access to the viral RNA, so that these test kits can be developed much faster and better. But there are a number of test kits that are under development. One is, of course, we need to bring down the cost of the PCR testing kits, which, as you know, has become a contentious issue. I personally believe that the costs can be brought down significantly. But in addition to that, there are many antigen and antibody testing kits, sir, which can be developed. But I think companies are finding it very difficult to access these kind of convalescent patient sera. And sir, if ICMR and Ministry of Health can actually come out with a notification that any DST certified research laboratory and national laboratory can, through an arrangement, have access to these samples, it will be very useful, sir. So that is my main contention. Secondly, sir, as you know, plasma therapy is becoming a very important opportunity for India. I have been working with several state governments to see how we can start collecting convalescent blood from these patients. And I think we do need to do this in a very significant way, sir. And I think the permissions that are from ICMR and DCGI or CDSCO would be very, very welcome, sir, to help all the government start collecting this. This is again about being in a state of preparedness and having the ability to try out different therapies, sir. That is my request.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Just to apprise you about all these testing, you have been talking about this testing. So as I told you that we have already very well defined guidelines about who needs to be tested, and then recently we have further expanded that guideline. We are as I said, we have already over 200 labs, but now even that process is being further expanded. AIMS and many other top institutions in the country, we have made them nodal points, and we have asked them to proactively contact all the medical colleges in the country and find out wherever we can start the testing thing, the equipment, etc., everything will be provided by the central government. Right now we are testing about 15,000 people in the one day, and we have plans that in future times, if there is a need, we can test about 1 lakh of people every day. So, and regarding these antibody and antigen tests, antibody tests are also being started. We have, and we are going to do that in our, especially in our hotspots where we have these clusters and all which are involved, to see what is the extent of the disease there, and then also to facilitate, all our that has been our basic spirit, that we have to facilitate Make in India, and those of us who want to be into this, some of these labs, my labs and others, they have already started producing things. So we are very proactively supporting them. You have mentioned about this plasma thing also. The ICMR 2 days back has also issued some guidelines about it, and the director, this drug controller, is going to issue permissions, etc., for that also. And what is going to be the procedure about that? I have already mentioned to you that we have already initiated process for the vaccine development. We are in touch with WHO. We are part of the solidarity trial. Our biotechnology people are proactively working on all those things. So I will look at all these issues where you have said that all those labs which are DST certified, so if they have to be supported in terms of making the process faster, we'll certainly look at this if at all there is some bottleneck somewhere. But we meet almost every day, and on a daily basis we try to sort out all these issues and take information and feedback from all our core group people, whether it is from ICMR or our health ministry or from NCDC, etc., and the science people. Only 2 days back I had a detailed video conferencing with all my directors of CSIR labs, and in the group of ministers also we invited the science secretaries. They have now brought out a detailed compendium of things that they are doing, so we can share many of those things with the CII also. I will send a copy of that to the President and the Secretary, and he can share it with the members also. So from time to time, whatever suggestions you wish to make, you please keep informing us. You can pick up the telephone, you can send us an email, you can WhatsApp your suggestion, and we can assure you that anything which is worthwhile, we will not leave it unresponsed. Thank you.
So, just be efficient on the time. We know the pressure of work, the time that you have. I'll punch 2 or 3 questions, sir, so that then you can respond together. If that is okay with you, sir.
Oh yes, everything is okay with me. No problem.
So I'll request Hari Bhatia, Uday Kotak, and Sunil Munjal to respond.
Dr. Harshvardhan, thank you. First, I'll echo that it's great to have you as the health minister at this time of crisis. It's so much of knowledge, and the way you explained your whole action that you took from December onwards. Sir, I'll have two quick points. One on business continuity of pharmaceutical industry, and I want to give an example to you what's happening. Sir, we operate facilities in India, US, Canada, in many locations. In US and Canada, many of our facilities, which have more than 500-600 people, some people do get infected. As you know, it's scaling up in US and Canada, both places. And what they do is, they isolate a group of 10 or 12 people who work closely and send them home for 14 days, and then they come back. They don't close the whole facility. And that way, of course, we sanitize everything and restart. So that's how we have been operating 24/7 in our international facilities. I want to give an example of our Nanjangud facility, which is one of the largest API manufacturer in a single site, where we make products like azithromycin, which are single source to many companies globally. Sir, we had incidents of COVID patients there, and the entire facility was shut down. Actually, it takes almost 7 days to shut down a facility, and then restart, it takes another 7 days. It shut down for 14 days. And in the meanwhile, they also tested raw material which came from China, thinking that these raw materials from China could have brought in virus, which we tried to explain. I believe these raw materials have been sent to Institute of Virology for testing, and there's fear that any material from China could also bring in virus. While, as you know, sir, that there are many studies, and in many parts of India, there are raw materials, finished products lying from China, Italy, Spain, and if that fear goes in, then we create a huge problem. So I only request your office, sir, to build a protocol. We have built a protocol, so has Indian Pharmaceutical Association, which will forward it to you, that not only in pharma, but in other units also, going forward, there will be incidences for people who will get infected. Then what should be the protocol to restart those units quickly? And and I'll, especially for our facility in Nanjangud, I'll seek your intervention. It's a very important facility. If we could get help from you to restart it as quickly as possible. My second point, sir, what Dr. Trehan raised about remdesivir, I've been following that for last 15 days, and we were trying to get it from Gilead to do clinical trials here, but they said it is part of solidarity trial, where they have been, I believe remdesivir is included. I do believe it's an antiviral which is showing some promising results on an early stage, and I hope you will include that in the solidarity trial also, and with other antivirals that are being tried. Thank you. Those my 2 points.
Right?
Shall I respond or I wait?
Sir, shall we bunch 2, 3 for you, because it could be common, sir. Just 2 more, sir.
Okay.
Uday and Sukhi Munjal. Uday?
Dr. Harshvardhan, first of all, we are grateful to you for protecting lives of us all Indians. And the speed at which you have moved is something which gives us great confidence and a sense of relief that we are in safe hands. On a specific point, sir, most of us on this call come from the world of business, finance, and economics. This is a problem in science. And people in business, finance, and economics are struggling. Normally, they are good at finding solutions. But this time around, a problem of science is something which business, finance, and economics is unable to grapple with. And this is an important issue. Therefore, the solution to this lies in science. And some sense about when do you think science will really save us? That is question number 1. And question number 2, sir, is as we go forward down this path, we have on the one hand to protect lives out because of the virus. On the other hand, we have to protect lives which come to risk because of livelihood. And assuming this virus is going to be around for some time, and we hope it gets solved, but if it is going to be around for some time, how do we take a decision between protecting lives because of the virus versus protecting lives because of loss of livelihood? And how do we handle this trade-off as a nation and as a people?
Sunil Munjal.
Thank you. Dr. Harshvardhan, you are absolutely right, and I want to echo what everyone else is saying. You not only talk about these things, you demonstrated this. When I called you about 10 days or 2 weeks ago, you not just took the call yourself, but you also immediately connected your Secretary Health, the ICMR, etc., to take up the issues. I'd like to do this in two parts. One is the healthcare data machinery. 2004, you launched the IDSP, which is the Integrated Data Surveillance Program, which has been struggling since then. Please get it strengthened. Now is a unique opportunity. The whole machinery is helping in this direction. The second was the Health Management Information System, which was launched in 2007. Again, there are many cases where the physical data and what's in the HMIS are at odds. They are not matching data. Currently, you're spending 80% of your budget on treatment and cure and only 7% on preventive health care. Please try and get some correction made in this going forward. Of course, at this moment, your big focus is going to be the current situation, but it's also an opportunity to do a reset for all of this. The next one is about hospitals. If some frontline doctor or nurse gets declared positive, please do not shut down the entire hospital. Declare them COVID hospitals if you have to, or isolate that department, exactly as Hari is talking about companies, because we've now had 5 hospitals shut down in Mumbai, 3 in Punjab, and 4 or 5 in other states. This will destroy the only defense we truly have to battle this right now. And just one last point, I know that many of us are very proud that this is an opportunity to make in India and to grow it, but at this moment, the time it will take us to build full capacities may not be quick enough for us to address the surge in numbers that is expected to come in the next 3 to 8 weeks. At this moment, please supplement with imports right now. And for imports, you have removed import duty. Also take GST off for some time until our local capacities are built up in the next 3 or 4 months. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think regarding the first issue about the pharmaceutical industries, and especially sir mentioned about United States drug companies and pharmaceutical industry capacity there, and then you see, I may tell you that all these principles of quarantining, they are being right now followed in the best possible manner in India. And it's not only a few people, it's the number is in thousands and lakhs where we have been able to handle these people. It's not that every place is being closed just because some people have got. So from the day one, the people have been in isolation facilities, they have been in hospitals, they have been in home quarantine, they have been in institutional quarantine. And there is a very robust mechanism about ensuring that those who are in quarantine, they are ably managed. So what you refer to about America doing, that's already means in a big form, and on a larger scale we are actually doing that. I thoroughly endorse your views when you say that all this misinformation about anything coming from China having a virus, I think these are all misplaced. And right now, I have mentioned it a couple of times, and I have been talking and appealing to the media also, that my challenge right now is, apart from combating the virus, the other challenge is to combat the virus of this misinformation which is being spread about many of these things. So we are very, thoroughly aware of this issue. And we have been again and again asking people to look at the website of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. We have put every information, every guideline and every data, every possible thing that every section of the society should know, and which people want to have access to. We have put it there. So I will certainly make sure that if there are protocols needed for some more things which are already not there, I will certainly get them done. There is no problem about that. You have also mentioned about the protocol to restart. So this is a subject which is being discussed quite appropriately and in quite detail in the meetings in the higher strata of the government, and how we can start the industry even now with a limited, during the next 3 weeks also there is going to be a guideline for starting things from 20th onwards. You must have heard the Prime Minister talking about it, and how to ultimately come out of the lockdown period and then gradually in a graded manner start everything. So that is being, so if there are any specific suggestions or specific strategies that the CII would love to propose, I can promise you that we'll look at them very, very passionately and see that and we are already, you have mentioned about these solidarity trials, etc. So we are already part of these activities. As I said, it's almost on a daily basis. I keep in touch with WHO and all the things that are happening all over the world. You will not find India lagging behind in anything, whether it is handling the current crisis or getting into the research mode. Even to our scientists, we have said that you have to look at the timeliness also. It's not about the routine research where you deliver an outcome in months or years. You have to do it, you have to take it like a war, and you have to deliver your outcomes during the war period. So there's a lot of things happening about these kits and so many other things. Then it was mentioned about the in fact you echoed what exactly I have been saying, because in 2014 when I took over as Union Health Minister, then a couple of months later Prime Minister asked me to look after science and technology and Ministry of Earth Sciences, and then for almost over 6 years now I have been in these ministries. I am still in charge of science and technology, and have seen science from very, very close quarters, and I came to the conclusion that science has solutions for everything. And that's what I could have that faith when I visited each and every laboratory in the country and met every scientist and saw with my own eyes what the science is delivering. It's not the forum, but maybe later time I can share all those experiences with you. So we have, apart from handling the whole issue in health with more, potency and speed, we have put our scientists on that particular job, and encouraging things have started appearing from their side. Maybe at an opportune time we can discuss the details about that. You are very right that we have to take care of the virus also, and we have to take care of to protect the livelihood of the people. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning, the Prime Minister is quite well aware of that. For the poorest of the people, all these, economic packages, which are, I have a huge list of schemes through which crores and crores of people have been helped in the country, and there is a very aggressive plan. Now the Prime Minister says that Jaan is also important and the Jahan is also important. So we have to protect everything, the people also, and we have to protect the whole society also from all perspectives. So we are quite well aware. You have mentioned about IDSP, so I will be happy to know that today our integrated disease surveillance program is the most robust program in the whole world. And this is not that we talk about it, now the whole world talks about it. The World Health Organization has on number of occasions, even during this crisis also, has appreciated the strength and the power of our IDSP. Even today we are, as I said, we are under community surveillance. We have over 7 lakh people in the country, and we started our community surveillance activities on 17th of January itself. So that's another, this regarding the this health management information systems and the digital things. So we have now a very advanced digital blueprint made, which is like it's a lot of details. In another 3-4 years you will find everything electronic in the country with all the data of every patient and all. So it has been, the issue has been very actively pursued during the course of the last 5 years since we took over. Regarding, you mentioned about strengthening preventive health care. So you know that we have a very ambitious Ayushman Bharat program, and one of the components of the Ayushman Bharat program is setting up of 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers all over the country, out of which we have already established something like 35 to 40,000, and by December end 2022 we want to complete this job. These centers all over the country, their main focus is preventive health, promotive health, positive health. We do screening, and even for many of these cancers of oral cavity, cancers of the cervix, cancers of the breast, for cases of hypertension, diabetes, etc. There is a huge amount of screening done at these places, where crores and crores of people have been screened in the last couple of years since the time we have initiated this. So I have myself been all the time in all my 4 decades working in health, have been propagating in a big way that health has to be made a social movement. 80-90% of health is only prevention, but it's not about giving medicines or going to the hospitals. It is about changing lifestyles. It is about development of positive health attitudes in the society. It is about educating people about everything that is. Even in COVID also, you see, we know that it's all small things, washing hands, not taking your hand to your mouth, and social distancing, etc. And the caller tune for the phone that we made, it had only these small messages, and anyone can protect himself with the help of these preventive things. So as far as our government is concerned, prevention and positive and promotive health, they are our main cornerstones and the main pillars of our health policy, and there is a huge focus on them. We are aggressively working for elimination of many diseases. Tuberculosis is the most, I think, prioritized area. We wish to eliminate tuberculosis by 2025, and working on many other diseases like measles, Kala Azar, etc., etc. You have rightly said that any institution should not be shut because there are some cases somewhere, but I do not have the details about these very minor details about these hospitals who have been shut, but I am sure that the people at the helm of affairs in these hospitals, they must have been some great administrators and doctors. They must have taken all the scientific aspects into consideration. But it's not that, you see, every now and then we have these unfortunately health professionals getting this suffering in our hospitals, in our government hospitals in Delhi itself. But we have just got those doctors and nurses, etc., quarantined, but no hospital has been closed. So regarding these hospitals in Bombay, I cannot comment because I really don't know the I have been asked by your side that if you can take more questions. So if there's something very important, we can. I love to be with you all the 24/7. I can be with you. It's always a very pleasurable experience. So if at all there is anything very important or anything that you wish to put right now over and above what we have already discussed, I leave it to Mr. Banerjee to take it up.
Okay. So, sir, I know, you'll see to it that we release you quickly. So, just a couple of people have been pressing, and if there is time permitting, we will try to take one last bunch of 4 people.
Okay.
Vinita Bali, who is the chair of who has been the chair of the Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition, Chris Gopalakrishnan, Pawan Goenka, who is the president of Mahindras, and R.C. Bhargav, the chairman of Maruti Suzuki. So, can I ask Vinita?
Yeah.
Vinita, could you go ahead?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Harshvardhan, for your very reassuring and comprehensive perspective. I'll be very quick. We've been talking about the poorest of the poor, and there are 3 or 4 vulnerable groups, which in the spirit of the integrated approach that you have talked about, I would request you to ensure that, whatever needs to be done there is actually being done. And in no order of priority, the first is 120 million children who used to get a free meal in school. When the schools are closed, these children have no access to even the 600 or 700 calories they were getting in the 24 hours when they came to school. And that is, by definition, a fairly vulnerable population. The second is the population that is served through the Anganwadi centers or the ICDS, where again, because of certain hiccups in the supply chain, whatever is distributed as take-home rations in the ICDS centers are not as freely available. I know we've talked about creating self-help groups. At the moment there are 10,000 self-help groups, which is highly inadequate. We've got 1.4 million Anganwadi centers, and if there could be a special focus on ensuring that whatever rations go to these people, who in any case are fairly vulnerable, that we do everything possible, to make that supply. The last point really has to do with being prepared for the worst and hoping it doesn't happen. We've seen a fairly large migration from urban India back to rural India. Part of it is still happening. And, we've got primary healthcare centers as the primary places of contact if something happens in a village. And there we rely completely on the ASHA workers, who in any case are, in my opinion at least, inadequately compensated even for the work that they are doing today. So again, in the spirit of being prepared, what is it that we are doing in the rural India, or at least in the districts where we've already had certain instances, to ensure that whatever we're doing in the cities, a large part of that is replicated for the people in the villages as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think let me reply to her, and then otherwise I'll miss.
Yes, please. Yes.
So let me inform you, Vinita ji, because sometimes we get this impression in the cities that whatever the people, whosoever they are living in the cities, they are only being taken care of, or there is only knowledge or information about that to the government. You see, I can assure you that even for people living in the remotest part of the country, it's all the state governments and the central government. And the central government, and if I will tell you the data, you will have a feel of, because you see right now there is no child is on the road or in a particular center there or in a school to be dependent only on the nutrition that he was getting nutrition thing in the school because he was in the school right now. So I'll just give you an idea that more than 32 crore poor people have received financial assistance of rupees 29,352 crore under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. 5.29 crore beneficiaries have been distributed free ration of food grains under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. 97.8 lakh poor people have been given free Ujjwala cylinders and they have been delivered. 2.1 lakh members of the EPFO have taken benefit of online withdrawal of non-refundable advance from EPFO account amounting to 510 crores. It doesn't specifically pertain to the poorest of the poor. Then the first installment of the Prime Minister Kisan Yojana, that's about 14,946 crores have been transferred to 7.47 crore farmers. Then 9,930 crores have been disbursed to 19.86 crore through the Women Jan Dhan account holders. 1,400 crores have been disbursed to about 2.82 crore old age persons, widows and disabled persons. Similarly, 2.17 crore building and construction workers have received financial support amounting to 3,071 crores. And also, maybe it doesn't, since we took up this topic, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, has allowed contributions. This is for all of you, from companies to state disaster management authorities, for fighting COVID, to be treated as CSR expenditure. So this is just, since I took up this, I thought let me remind you. Then, of course, to mitigate the hardships of the small taxpayers, CBDT has issued an order stating that if a person had submitted valid forms 15G and 15H to the banks or other institutions for the financial year 2019 and 20, then these forms would be valid up to June 30. You all know it, but just I thought I must remind you. And then in the context of COVID-19 situation, with a view to provide immediate relief to the business entities and individuals, it has been decided to issue all the pending income tax returns up to 5 lakhs immediately. This is benefiting about 14 lakh taxpayers. And it has also been decided to issue all pending GST and custom refunds, which would provide benefit to around 1 lakh business entities, including SMEs. And the total refund granted is likely to be about 18,000 crores. And the Ministry of Finance has already released some 17,287 crores to different states to enhance their financial resources. I have a huge list of benefits that already, see, even this 5 kg of under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, 12 million tons of food grain has been, during April to June. We have decided that every month 5 kg per person for 80 crore people, this food grains are going to be given free up to June 30. So there is a there's a huge detail of things like this. So whatever concerns have been raised by Vinita ji, we may not be able to know about them because of the COVID situation, but I can tell you that each and every concern like this that you echoed, and I am so grateful that you have very sentimentally expressed your concern about the poorest of the people, poorest of the poor, and the government is also equally aware of them. Regularly, I have been part of the 3 video conferences with the Prime Minister that he did with the Chief Ministers, and these subjects are so discussed in so much of detail. There is not the time to get into the nitty-gritty, but even in the remotest part of the country, every poor person is being looked after, I would say, at many places in a better manner than during their normal times. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 2 quick ones. I mean, I know that, and we'll stop, and I'll request both of you to be kindly very, very short, because we'll have to let the Honorable Minister go. Torun Soni, followed by Mr. R.C. Bhargav.
Sir, thank you very much for your candid remarks and all the efforts of yourself and the department. I'll be very brief. At this present time, there's so much work happening and planning on the restart of business and business continuity post the COVID lockdown. For industry and B2C businesses to open safely, high levels of sanitization will certainly be essential. The ability to stock and store these sanitizers, however, is subject to drug licenses, which most businesses do not have. Can the government look into this and urgently review the ability of businesses to purchase sanitizers in an easier manner? Because presently the sales through the pharma supply chain will cause massive delays and huge build-up of stock at the manufacturers.
Thank you.
Mr. Bhargav?
Thank you, sir. Sir, you mentioned about the importance of Make in India. And we have had some experience of this in the last few days in connection with the manufacture of ventilators. We were asked by the government to help in trying to get ventilators manufactured. We found, sir, that while there was no possibility of doing this on our own, we discovered that there was a small startup company. We started just 2 years ago in 2018, Agwa. But in 2 years, he had achieved a turnover of only 5 crores of rupees. He had a very, very limited organization, very limited space, nothing to do. To scale up his production, which is the real challenge, sir, if you want to make in India, we had to bring all our resources to help him to make in India. We've started production, and within 2 weeks, we will reach about 400 ventilators a day, which means 10,000 in a month. We will deliver the requirement of 10,000 ventilators within within May, and another 10,000, I think we are being asked to make. We'll do that also within June. But the point I want to make to you, sir, is there are people like Agwa who have good technologies, but who have no means, no knowledge on how to scale up production, how to make their companies grow into big companies. There is actually, the whole infrastructure works against scaling up and going up. And I think, sir, if you want Make in India to be done, this aspect of how these small startups should actually grow and become big has to be looked into. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think these last two questions are very good. You have rightly flagged the issue that obviously anything that we have to restart, we have to sanitize, and making available adequate amounts of sanitizers, etc. That I think is already in the knowledge of the government, but I will certainly flag this issue with the concerned authorities in the government system, so that there is no shortage of sanitizers, etc. For sanitizing these places which have to be restarted. Regarding these strengthening Make in India, and I'm happy that Mr. Bhargav pointed about these ventilators. So I can only tell you that we are very proactively and very aggressively through our science ministries, and more particularly on this issue through CSIR and the DST, where the DG of CSIR is Dr. Shekhar Mande, and the Secretary of Science and Technology is Mr. Ashutosh Sharma. They are both distinguished people, distinguished scientists. We are taking up this issue very, very, proactively. We're trying to handhold people in terms of helping them, whether it is the startups or those who have, like you, who have already got into it but who want to scale up, but you don't know how to scale up. So if you get in touch with our science ministries, I am sure that you will get good quality help and advice from them. I will also flag this issue with them. And if you find any difficulty in seeking all these advices and strategies, you can get in touch with my office directly. I can promise that we are there to help you. I will send a brief compendium of the various guidelines that we have built in Health and Family Welfare Ministry which we have been trying to share with the relevant people to CII, and also for the activities that are happening in science and technology in DRDO and ICMR. So that will give you a brief idea. Maybe the CII people, if they wish, they can share it with others. I will send it, that compendium, on the WhatsApp to Mr. Banerjee, and wherever he feels like, he can share it with the people. I will send it in a day or two. And even then, if you have some queries, or if you have some more suggestions, you want some more guidelines about issues which you feel have not been flagged by the government, or they have not come into the knowledge of the government, we are very positive and receptive about any good suggestion coming from any quarter, and suggestions coming from CII have always been welcome. They have always been great, asset for us. Time and again we have appreciated that, and time and again we have realized about their usefulness. So I strongly, I think, echo my sentiments that I'm very happy meeting all of you, and I'm sure that when I go back from this meeting, I'll certainly be wiser on many of these issues, and try to put the suggestions that you have been delivered to me. I'll try to convert them into good quality activity, our ongoing activities. Thanks, Mr. Vikram and Mr. Banerjee, for organizing this, and all my gratitude to all the senior people who have gathered and spent their valuable time for us in the ministry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
So,
Kyan.
may I just request Doctor to wish you all the best from behalf of all of us.
So, Honorable Minister, I'm sure everybody on this panel is jealous that we have one of the best ministers. So, in our field, you've always been forthcoming, and today you demonstrated to everybody else that you have the time and the patience and the determination to see it through. So, thank you so much. There were many other people who wanted to ask questions, but there's always some limitation of time. But thank you so much. We'll be sending you our compendium of different helps that we may need, and what offers we can make to assist you further. So thank you again, and have a good day, sir. You have a most busy schedule. Most busy schedule. Thank you. Thank you. I have one more thing. Please do not leave the health ministry ever.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you so much. Thank you.